We tried to escape her criminal family. Now we're hunted. All right, so buckle up, because this is genuinely the most insane, life-altering thing that's ever happened to me. And it all went down over one freaking dinner. One decision. One moment. And now I'm sitting here questioning literally everything about my life. I, 34 have been married to my wife, Rachel, 32F, for 6 years. We met in college, total meet-cute situation, both reaching for the same dumb philosophy book in the library. Sparks, flirting, endless late-night chats. You know, textbook storybook love. Her family? Honestly, they always seemed fine. A little intense, maybe. Rachel's dad is this old-school businessman type, big on respect and tradition and the family name. Her mom is quieter but sharp as hell, the kind of woman who can smile while absolutely slicing you apart with words. They're loaded, by the way, like old money rich. Rachel never really flaunted it, though. When we were dating, she lived super modestly. She paid half on dates, drove a beat-up Corolla, wore jeans from Target. I honestly thought she was just grounded, you know? Fast forward to now, we're doing all right for ourselves. I work in tech, she's a freelance graphic designer. We've got a nice apartment, a goofy golden retriever, and plans to maybe buy a little house next year. Life felt good, stable, happy. So when her parents invited us to formal family dinner at their estate last Saturday, I didn't think much of it. Just figured it was another one of those slightly stiff, overly polite evenings where I'd nod a lot and drink expensive wine I couldn't pronounce. I had no idea it was going to nuke my entire reality. The night started normal enough. I wore a blazer, per Rachel's friendly suggestion. We showed up right on time, exchanged the usual pleasantries. Her mom gave me that tight smile. Her dad gave me the double pat handshake that somehow always feels like a warning. We sat down for dinner. The table was ridiculous. Massive oak thing you could land a helicopter on, polished to a mirror shine. Candles, silver cutlery, the whole Downton Abbey vibe. And then, halfway through the main course, some kind of terrifyingly fancy lamb dish. Rachel's dad cleared his throat. "We're so pleased you could join us tonight," he said, folding his napkin with this slow, deliberate precision. "There's actually an important matter we wanted to discuss." Cue every hair on the back of my neck standing up. Rachel squeezed my hand under the table, real quick, real subtle. Her mom gave a tiny, knowing smile. "Your family now," her dad continued. "Which means it's time you became part of the family business." Now, here's the thing. I'd always assumed family business meant something boring and safe, like investments or real estate. Maybe some old trust fund situation. I smiled politely and said something dumb like, "Of course, I'd be honored." Big mistake. Her dad leaned back, steepled his fingers, and dropped the bomb. "We run a series of private security firms," he said. "Very exclusive, very discreet." Private security? Okay, whatever, sounds intense but not horrifying. Then he added, "Some of our contracts operate outside typical legal frameworks." My brain kind of froze. Outside typical legal frameworks. He said it so casually, like he was talking about slightly undercooked steak. Meanwhile, Rachel's just sitting there, looking at me with this pleading look, like she's silently screaming, "Please just roll with it." And honestly, in that moment, I wanted to. I wanted to nod and smile and pretend like everything was fine. But something in my gut twisted hard. So instead, I said, "I'm sorry, could you clarify what you mean by that?" The temperature in the room dropped about 20 degrees. Rachel's dad's smile didn't falter, but his eyes went absolutely ice cold. "Sometimes," he said, "laws are inconvenient." Silence. My mouth went dry. My heart was slamming against my ribs. Rachel squeezed my hand again, harder this time. And that's when it hit me. She knew. She knew all along. And she still brought me here. Still wanted me involved. Still wanted me to what? Be part of it? Help protect the family interests, no matter what that meant? I realized, in that one awful second, that maybe I didn't know Rachel or her family at all. And that maybe my entire life was about to split right down the middle. So yeah, after that little bombshell over lamb chops, I kind of shut down. I sat there, staring at Rachel's dad like he'd just asked me to rob a bank with him. Meanwhile, everyone else just kept eating like he hadn't said something absolutely insane. Rachel's mom was chatting about their upcoming trip to Europe. Her brother, who I hadn't even realized was sitting at the far end of the table, was casually scrolling through his phone. I guess this was normal for them. Meanwhile, I was spiraling. Rachel leaned in, whispering, "We'll talk later, okay? Just trust me." "Trust you," I said under my breath, trying not to lose my mind in front of her family. "Please," she whispered. "Just don't make a scene." And so, like an idiot, I smiled and nodded. I spent the rest of dinner barely tasting anything, mechanically nodding along to conversations about mergers and overseas investments, all the while feeling like the floor under me had cracked open and I was just falling. After dinner, Rachel's parents invited us into the library for a nightcap. Yeah, they literally have a library. Wall-to-wall bookshelves, dark leather chairs, old whiskey decanters. The whole evil mastermind aesthetic. Rachel's dad poured himself a scotch and sat behind this enormous desk like he was about to give me a mission briefing. "We don't expect an answer tonight," he said smoothly. "But you are part of this family now. We protect our own. And we expect loyalty." The way he said it, not asked, expected, made my stomach knot up even worse. Rachel was standing next to me, arms folded, looking about 3 seconds from bursting into tears. I mumbled something about needing time to think and got us the hell out of there. The car ride home was dead silent for about 10 minutes. Finally, I broke. "Rachel," I said, "what the actual hell was that?" She stared out the window. "I was going to tell you." "When?" I snapped. "On our 10-year anniversary? Right before they handed me a gun and a ski mask?" "It's not like that," she said quickly. It's complicated." "No, it's not," I said. "They're criminals, Rachel. Your family runs illegal operations. You wanted me to join them." She didn't answer. And that's when I felt it, that deep, sickening certainty. She wasn't just hoping I'd roll with it. She needed me to. "You don't understand," she finally whispered. "You don't know what happens if you say no." "What are you talking about?" I asked, voice sharp. She wiped her eyes roughly. "No one says no. Not and stays safe." My blood ran cold. "Are you saying they'd hurt me?" I whispered. She shook her head fast. "Not you. Not directly. But consequences happen. Jobs get lost. Bank accounts freeze. Accidents." She said it in this hollow, resigned voice like it was just facts. Not threats. Just the way things were. "My God," I breathed. "You've known this your whole life." She nodded. I pulled over onto the side of the road, hands shaking too hard to drive. "Rachel," I said, staring at her. "I love you. But I can't be part of that." She flinched like I'd hit her. "I know," she said, voice breaking. "I knew you wouldn't. I hoped." I couldn't speak. Couldn't think. Because sitting there, in that dark car, it hit me harder than anything else. Rachel hadn't married me to escape her family. She'd married me hoping I'd join them. And now I was trapped. Either sell my soul to stay with the woman I loved, or walk away and pray they'd let me. The next few days were a blur. I barely ate, barely slept. I kept looking over my shoulder like some mob enforcer was going to jump out from behind a tree. Every shadow looked like a threat. Every unknown number calling my phone made my stomach drop. Rachel gave me space, which somehow made it worse. I kept thinking about every little thing from the past 6 years, every unexplained family emergency, every weird phone call she'd taken in another room, every random trip she said was just catching up with Mom. Every memory twisted and rotted in my head, like food left out too long. It all looked different now. Sinister. Had I been blind? Or had I just not wanted to see? Maybe deep down, some part of me always knew something was off. But love makes you stupid sometimes. Finally, on the third night, Rachel sat me down. "We need to talk," she said, voice shaking. I was sitting on the edge of our bed, staring at the floor like it had answers hidden in the carpet fibers. "I know you're scared," she said. "I am too." "Then leave with me," I said, before I could second-guess myself. "We can get out. Start over. Cut ties." Her face crumpled instantly, like a kicked puppy. "It's not that easy," she whispered. "Why not?" I demanded, sharper than I meant to. "Rachel, you're smart, you're strong. We could disappear. Change names. New IDs. People do it all the time." She shook her head, tears slipping down her cheeks. "You don't get it. They're everywhere. Connections in the police, the banks, politics. Even places you'd never think to check." She was trembling. I could see it in the way her fingers twisted the hem of her sweater. "You can't just run," she said. "You think they'd let me go?" "You're their daughter," I said, voice cracking wide open. "They love you, don't they?" The silence that followed was deafening. She didn't have to answer. And maybe that hurt worst of all. I felt like I was breathing through a straw. panic closing in, tight and suffocating. So what? I said hoarsely. I just join up? Play the loyal soldier? Pretend I'm okay with whatever this is? Rachel squeezed her eyes shut, her whole body shuddering. I don't want that for you. I never did. Then what the hell was your plan, Rachel? I snapped. Hope I'd love you enough to look the other way? Hope I'd roll over and smile while you're helping your family ruin lives. She winced like I'd physically hit her. It wasn't supposed to happen like this, she whispered. I thought maybe if you knew how much we love each other, you'd find a way to accept it, rationalize it, accept crime. I said, my voice cracking again. Accept threats and accidents happening to people who say no? You wanted me to just close my eyes and pretend it's all okay because family first. She said nothing. And that's when I realized something even worse. Rachel was trapped too. Maybe she'd been trapped her whole life. Groomed. Indoctrinated. Taught that loyalty and silence were the only currencies that mattered. She probably never even had a real choice. And now she dragged me into it, hoping love could blind me the same way it blinded her. I felt sick. Betrayed. Heartbroken. I need time, I said, standing up like my legs weighed 1,000 pounds. I can't even think straight right now. She nodded, silent tears streaming down her face, soaking the front of her sweater. I packed a bag. Just a few essentials. Laptop, chargers, passport, enough clothes for a few days. Cash, because who knew if my accounts would be accidentally frozen tomorrow. I kissed the top of her head. I love you, I said. And then I walked out into the night, my heart breaking with every step, not knowing if I'd ever come back, not knowing if I'd ever be safe again, or if I just painted a giant, glowing target on my back by saying no. I spent the first night crashing at a crappy motel off the highway, one of those places where the lights flicker and the vending machine is half empty. I sat there on the scratchy bedspread, staring at the wall, clutching my phone like it might explode. Every buzz, every knock, every sound outside the window made my heart slam into my ribs. I didn't dare use my credit cards, paid cash for the room, paid cash for gas, paid cash for cheap takeout. Paranoia was eating me alive, and I couldn't tell if it was justified or if I'd finally cracked. I kept asking myself, am I overreacting? Am I in actual danger? Is Rachel? But deep down, I knew the answer. Rachel hadn't been dramatic. She hadn't exaggerated. Her family was powerful, connected, ruthless, and if they saw me as a threat. Yeah, I needed to be careful. The next day, I drove 3 towns over and rented a short-term Airbnb under a fake name. I wiped my phone, bought a burner, left my laptop locked in a storage locker downtown. I was doing everything short of digging a hole and hiding in it. And still, it didn't feel like enough. On the 3rd day, Rachel called. Not from her usual number. A random unknown number. Smart. Hey, she said, her voice barely a whisper. Rachel, I breathed, heart lurching into my throat. I'm okay, she said quickly. I had to hear your voice. I swallowed hard. Are you safe? A beat of silence. For now. I wanted to scream. To drive back and drag her out of there myself. But I knew it wasn't that simple. I miss you, she said, voice cracking. I miss you too, I said. God, Rachel. Why didn't you ever tell me? I was scared, she whispered. I thought if you knew, you'd leave. Rachel, I had a right to know, I said, my voice breaking. Another long pause. I know, she said. I'm sorry. There was so much I wanted to say. To yell. To cry. To ask. Instead, I said, be careful. You too, she whispered. And then she hung up. I sat there in that dingy little room, holding the dead phone against my forehead, shaking. Because the truth was, I didn't know how this ended. I didn't know if I was making the right choices. I didn't know if love could survive something like this. But I did know one thing, clear as glass. Whatever happened next would change everything. I spent the next week living like a ghost, checking into different motels every 2 nights, always paying cash, always parking under a street light where I could see the car from my window. Every time someone lingered near me too long at a gas station, a coffee shop, even a grocery store, I felt the prickling weight of paranoia. Were they just regular people? Or were they sent? Sent by her father. Sent to handle me. Honestly, I still don't know if it was real or just fear twisting my brain into knots. But the fear was real enough that it didn't even matter. Meanwhile, Rachel kept calling every few days. Always from different burner numbers. Always short, hushed conversations. And each time, she sounded smaller. More scared. They're asking questions, she said during one call. They want to know where you are. What did you tell them? I asked, my voice dry and cracked. That I didn't know. That we fought, and you left. Do they believe you? Long pause. I don't know. After that call, I started thinking about more serious options. Like leaving the state. Like disappearing completely. Changing my name. New identity. New life. But every time I packed a bag to run farther, something stopped me. Rachel. Because as messed up as it all was, I still loved her. God, I hated myself for it sometimes. Hated that she'd pulled me into this nightmare. Hated that she'd hidden the truth. But love doesn't listen to logic. It just is. One night, I sat in a grimy diner nursing a cold cup of coffee and realized something bone deep. I couldn't stay like this forever. Running, hiding, waiting. At some point, I'd have to make a real choice. Go back, or disappear for good. And either way, there would be no coming back from it. Because no matter what I chose, my old life was already over. The decision haunted me for days. Go back? Try to find some way to make peace with a family that ran illegal operations and saw the law as an inconvenience? Or vanish? Completely. Start over. Abandon Rachel, the woman I still loved, because being with her meant living a lie. Neither option felt survivable. Every time I thought about running, I pictured Rachel's face the night I left. The way she looked so small, so broken. Like part of her already knew I was gone for good. Every time I thought about staying, I imagined her father's cold smile. That promise hidden under the surface, compliance or consequences. I wasn't built for this. I'm not some action hero. I'm a dude who used to spend Sunday mornings fixing up old laptops and binge-watching sci-fi shows with my wife. I wasn't supposed to be making choices that could literally get me killed. One night, maybe out of pure self-destruction, I called Rachel. I want to see you, I said. Silence. Is that safe? She asked, voice shaking. Probably not, I said honestly. But I can't. I can't keep doing this. I need answers. Another long pause. Okay, she said finally. 1 hour. Usual spot. The usual spot was this tiny park halfway between her parents' estate and our old apartment. A place we used to walk our dog before all of this blew up. It felt wrong going back. Like tempting fate. But I went. I sat on a bench under a flickering street lamp. Hood up. Heart pounding so hard it felt like my whole body was vibrating. When Rachel arrived, she looked different. Paler. Thinner. Like the fear was physically eating her alive. She sat down next to me but didn't touch me. For a long time, neither of us spoke. Finally, she said, they know you're close. They have people looking. I swallowed hard. How close? Close enough, she whispered. I rubbed my hands over my face, trying to think. I can't keep living like this, Rachel. I know, she said, voice barely audible. Neither can I. I turned to her. Then leave. With me. Tonight. Her eyes filled with tears instantly. If I run, she said, they'll hurt my mom. My chest cracked open. What if we... I trailed off, searching for words. What if we went to the feds? Witness protection. She gave a hollow laugh. You really think there's anyone they can't reach? And that's when it hit me. It wasn't just about us. It was about everyone tied to them. Everyone they could use as leverage. It was about a noose tightening around both our necks, and the only choice was how long we fought before it choked us out. I love you, Rachel said, tears spilling down her cheeks. I love you too, I choked out. And for one terrible moment, we just sat there, holding hands, knowing it might be the last time. Knowing that choosing each other meant declaring war. And knowing that running might not save us after all. After that night in the park, everything changed. I didn't go back to the motel. I didn't even go back to the Airbnb. Something deep in my gut, the same instinct that kept me alive so far, told me it wasn't safe anymore. Instead, I drove. No destination. Just away. Gas station to gas station, town to town, blending into the background. I bought a burner laptop, set up a fake email, started researching how real people disappeared. Turns out, it's not like the movies. It's messy. It's complicated. It's terrifying. And expensive. Cash is king. You need new documents, new stories, new everything. I started squirreling away what little savings I had in cash. Every withdrawal felt like pulling teeth. Every transaction another breadcrumb someone could follow. Meanwhile, Rachel kept texting. Short, desperate bursts from numbers that changed every time. I miss you. Please be safe. I don't know how much longer I can hold them off. Each message was a knife in my chest. One night, sitting in my car behind a deserted strip mall, I made a decision. I wasn't going to keep running. Not like this. If Rachel and I had any chance, we needed to be smart. We needed to plan. So I texted her from the burner phone. One last meeting. Neutral ground. No phones. No trackers. No family. She agreed immediately. We set it for a rest stop 3 hours outside the city. Middle of nowhere. No cameras. No civilization for miles. The day of the meeting, I barely breathed. I arrived first. Parked by the farthest picnic table. Scanned every car that pulled in. Every shadow. When Rachel finally showed up, she was alone. Thank God. She looked worse than ever. Like she hadn't slept in days. We didn't hug. Didn't kiss. Just sat across from each other like two spies exchanging secrets. I can't stay much longer, she whispered. Then listen, I said. Here's the plan. I laid it out. New names. New identities. Disappear separately. Different states. Radio silence for at least a year. And then, she asked, voice trembling. And then, I said, we meet again. Somewhere safe. Somewhere clean. Her eyes filled with tears. Do you really think it'll work? She whispered. I don't know, I said honestly. But it's our only shot. We sat there for a moment longer, memorizing each other's faces like it might be the last time. I love you, she said. I love you more, I said. And then we walked away. Opposite directions. Not looking back. Praying we hadn't just signed our own death warrants. That night, I drove 8 hours straight, crossing 2 state lines before stopping at a dusty little town no one outside the county had probably ever heard of. I paid cash for a weekly rental. Got a job under the table at a mechanic's shop. Bought second-hand clothes from a thrift store. Changed my hair. Ditched my car after a week and picked up a rusted beater from a shady guy who didn't ask questions. I became nobody. Exactly what I needed to be. I kept my head down. Stayed off social media. Made no friends. Trusted no one. Every night, I replayed that last meeting with Rachel in my head. Her tear-streaked face. Her shaking hands. Praying she was safe. Praying she made it out too. Days turned into weeks. Weeks into months. At night, sometimes I dreamed about her. Other times, I dreamed about her family's cold smiles. Their threats. I kept expecting someone to show up. For a black SUV to pull into the parking lot. For a coincidental fender bender to turn into a nightmare. But nothing happened. Maybe we'd done it. Maybe they decided I wasn't worth the trouble. Maybe Rachel convinced them to let it go. I didn't know. And then, one day, almost exactly a year after that night at the rest stop, I got a letter. No return address. Just a simple, unmarked envelope slipped under my door. Inside was a single piece of paper. A time. A place. And 2 words, written in shaky, familiar handwriting. Miss you. My hand shook as I folded the paper. It was her. It had to be her. I packed a bag. Left the keys to the rental on the cracked kitchen counter. And for the first time in what felt like forever, I allowed myself to hope. Hope that somehow, against all odds, we could build something new. Something real. Something that wasn't built on secrets and fear. I didn't know what would happen next. But for the first time, I wasn't running. I was choosing. And no matter what waited for me at that meeting spot, it would be my choice.